Good afternoon, everyone. I'm making this video as my answer for the question that I posted early this morning. And it's basically, the question was, what are your feelings about the new upcoming generations? And I really put a lot of thought into this because I'm raising part of the newest generations coming up. And I got a lot of responses that I thought I was going to get, which are pampered, spoiled, brats, ignorant, just nothing very good, really. And Jamie and Donnie definitely pinned down part of my feelings about the newest generation. Yes, we have a lot of spoiled, awful little brats that think that they can get away with anything and are lazy and really don't want to do anything. I do get that. But at the same time, I also see more acceptance, more love, more compassion, more empathy from these upcoming generations than I've seen from any other generations. Every other generation before, including my own, I see us as the spoiled, rotten, awful, pampered little shits. Not necessarily in the workforce. The workforce, we have a lot of really hard working class people, especially the older generations. My generation and younger, I feel like we've gotten a lot more lackadaisy, but at the same time, I see that there's a lot more wanting to change. We don't want to just work our lives away and to not be there for our families and to do the normal work 40 hours a week, white picket fence, get married and have 2.5 children. That's not the American dream anymore. It's changing. Things are changing. I see more innovation from little tiny kids, 12-year-olds and younger, coming up with awesome, wonderful things to fix our lives, to fix diseases, to bring awareness. What were you doing at 12? I know I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't making these, there's the lemonade stand for, that's now famous, and just, oh my gosh, there's so many awesome, amazing, wonderful, fantastic things that these little kids are coming up with. And it's not because they're spoiled and pampered and don't want to do anything good for anybody else, and they're only thinking about themselves. No. They love everyone. They don't want labels anymore. They don't want these political labels anymore. They don't want labels of any sorts anymore, because they want to accept, love, appreciate, and care about each other. And the older generations don't. We're selfish. We don't care about anybody else. All we want is everything for ourselves all the time. I see more and more with my kids. There's definitely a need for some change in all aspects of our lives, all of them. Between the work ethic of them not being quite as disciplined, to us as older generations needing to change. We need to listen to our younger generation a little bit more, I think. I think that we need to understand that No, not everybody's the same. And every single generation goes through these changes that the older ones don't agree with. You look just through rock and roll phases and things, and just our music choices alone, you know, I think every generation says the same thing of, oh, this is garbage, it's not worth it, you know, what are you listening to? That's just a symbol, I think, of what needs to change. What needs to change in our lives. We need to open up our minds and our hearts, and if you believe, your soul, to the idea that, you know what, there's a lot of good coming up. And who are they going to learn from? Who have they learned from? They're learning from the older generations of what not to do, what's not right, and what is right. So what example are you setting that's making them this way, that's giving them these options set out in front of them? You think they're lazy, you think they're awful, you think they're just the worst things out there ever. So what are you doing to fix it? Anything? Or are you just sitting there calling them names and telling them they're horrible? And you wonder why they want to accept, love, and appreciate everybody else, and don't want labels, and don't want all of these shitty things that we've had all for centuries now, where you judge other people so harshly. What happened to loving each other like every single religion sits there and talks about? Yeah, I have a lot of Christian friends on my Facebook. I do. And you know what? I know a lot of people that aren't very loving and aren't very kind to somebody that has different ideas than they do. And how awful is that? How awful is that that's what we're teaching our next generation of, you know what? You have a different idea than me. I don't like you. How awful is that? So where are they learning all of these things from? Oh, that's right. They're watching us and they're saying, I don't want to be that. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of need for change, good and bad. I think that we can definitely mold the next generation into something wonderful. They're innovative, they're creative, they're compassionate. Deep down, they want all these changes, but we keep telling them they can't change. We keep telling them that you need to sit in our little box of rules and regulations and ideals that we've set on down the road. Opening your mind, opening your heart, and seeing that there really, honestly, is good in the next generation, and knowing that we need good in the next generation, because once we're gone, what's left? What's left? The next generation. And what do you want to leave behind? They're part of our legacy. Stop and really talk to the next generation. Whoever you have, nieces and nephews and cousins and children and friends and friends' children, really listen. Listen to them. I think it'll be eye-opening if you really pay attention to what is important to them. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.